Welcome to the True Brewer Stew podcast. Every other Sunday, we'll release an episode of the podcast featuring an interview with a business owner in the food industry. From restaurants, to breweries, to bakeries, and everything in between. We ask them about their journey and the process of becoming a successful business owner in hopes of helping others to do the same. I'm Mike Curtin, and the podcast starts now. Welcome to the True Brewer Stew podcast. My name is Mike Curtin. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you never miss another episode of the podcast. If you have any questions for me to ask in future interviews, you could direct message me right on the True Brewer Stew Instagram page. And don't forget to follow us while you're there. Thank you for joining us for episode number 8 of True Brewer Stew. Today I sit down with Chris Miles from Pico in Rockaway, New York. Chris breaks down his journey leading to the opening of his first restaurant and how Hurricane Sandy had him starting over from scratch after the devastation. So here it is, episode number 8. I hope you enjoy it. Hey guys, I'm Mike Curtin. This is True Brewer Stew, and I'm here today at Pico in Rockaway, New York, to speak with Chris Miles. Chris, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business?
How to get into the business? Guess I've always worked. I think I've actually consistently had a job, if you count paper route, since 10. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that I've been without a job been with a job consistently for 30 years. Right across the street, there's a pizzeria that was just, they bought the building, walked in there, not knowing about anything about working in a restaurant. Started busing there when I was 16. I think a little before my 18th birthday, asked me if I wanted to train as a server. Started serving 3-4 days a week, and I actually really enjoyed the business. I enjoyed just taking care of people. It felt good to, talk to people and talk about the food and answer questions. And at one point, I graduated high school, went to college for my first semester right out of high school. I went to Brew in the city. I want to be a business major, whatever that meant on a broad spectrum. And no one ever told me I should have taken all the city tests at age 19, but I wish I would have.
Somebody told me.
Yeah, and my dad and my father was a fireman too.
Right.
Yeah. So my dad, why the heck didn't you tell me to take the fireman test? Or at least sanitation or something.
Right.
But hindsight's 20/20, so continued on in the restaurant business. I was at Palm Tomatoes from age 16 to 21. Made great money. So then I started picking up day shifts at Kennedy's. That's kind of where you start at the lunches there.
Okay.
Those were solid, and I was basically working there 10:30 to 4, and then coming to Plum Tomatoes at 5 and working there 5 to 10, and doing that a bunch of days a week. So then the two combined was wonderful money.
Right. The hustle.
But I could only do that. The hustle's real. The hustle's real. And if any, nothing's easy, especially in the city of New York. I think we all know that. No job seems to be easy, and no job seems to pay enough.
Yeah, right.
Soon thereafter, I transitioned to Kennedy's full time. I guess as they felt confident in me. Money was awesome there. Ended up being at Kennedy's for 9 years. I developed into server / manager. Benefits there were they gave me a salary, but they didn't have to pay me a full-time manager salary.
Right.
1 year I wrote down what I made, and I was 24, and I took home after taxes $70,000. Kennedy's, I started working out when I was 21. Became real close with those guys. They actually offered me a piece of a restaurant in downtown Manhattan, which ended up opening right on Stone Street, Browers.
Nice.
Which has since they sold. It was open, I think, probably 7 years or so. At the time, somehow, I guess 3 groups of people were foolish enough to offer me a piece of business. So honestly, I turned down all 3. I just didn't feel comfortable at the time. Yeah, I guess for different reasons. But so I'm you know what? I'm not ready for any of that. It just seemed too crazy. So I stayed at Kennedy's. So I was there from 21 to 29, and I'm I gotta get out of this goddamn restaurant business. I was 29, 30, still waiting tables. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
I love it. I want to open a restaurant, but like, how do I go about that?
Right.
Capital, building. I don't even know anything about like signing and figuring out a damn commercial lease, or
Right.
it wasn't just like, okay, let's open a restaurant. Now, to this day, I find out it's way more complicated and way more difficult than I could ever imagine that it would be,
Right.
especially in a city. Whatever, we all know this city of New York
The
is
codes.
amazing in a lot of ways, but it's brutal in a lot of ways too. And I get it, like there has to be regulations. Like, so my partner Bill Keating, who's been my partner since we partnered up in 2012, and we can revisit that, like how that unfolded, that restaurant was at the time. So his wife's a real estate agent, Larice.
Okay.
And we would chat. She's like, you think about doing real estate? You got the gift of gab, and you like talking to people, and that's how you make money in real estate. Just give it a try. I'm like, all right, you know what? I've been thinking a lot about getting out of the business. I'm like, but at the same time, it's all I know how to do. Real estate sounds good. The market was booming at the time. Saw the corruption in banks. So like all these people making a ton of money. Let's give it a whirl. Tried the real estate thing for like a year and a half.
Right.
I hated it. Yeah, so I came back. So Bill Keating and his at the time partner Johnny Kaczorowski. This is late September 2007. So I mean, I live in Rockwood. I've been here. I'm 40 now. I've lived here for 40 years. I always took care of Bill and his wife when I worked at Kennedy's, so they knew me from there. I worked for Larice for a short period of time, so she knew me from there. I guess they liked me, so they got in touch with me, like, hey, can we meet up with you? We went to dinner at this place, Lenora, used to be on Crossway Boulevard. Okay, listen, so I know you've seen the construction going on 129th Street. They were building a seafood restaurant, per se, Rockaway Seafood Company. It's 2007. So I saw the build out was going on for like 6-9 months or whatever, at least. We're looking for a manager. I'd never really managed a restaurant. Like I said, at Kennedy's, I was kind of like server, kind of like head waiter, I guess you'd say. Like just like kind of like babysit the other servers, or anyone new I'd always train. But they're like, we're opening this restaurant. We'd love you as manager. I'm like, okay, tell me a little about it. Say it opened like 5 Chinese food takeout places at the time, which were all really successful. So they came to me with that, and I pondered on it. We talked salary, and I'm like, okay, all right. I got in touch with him a few days later. I'm like, let's do it. I'm in. Salary sounds good. I'm excited about it. We ended up opening December 17th of 2007. Not too bad, considering. I guess that's like 6 weeks later or so. Right. So we opened up. It was a sushi bar in the front of the restaurant, and kind of like, I guess almost like intercontinental dining, or slightly modern menu from the kitchen. Okay. The chef was pretty solid, not great. The place was nice, it was brand new, really embraced by the town. Did pretty well for a while. Also battled the cost of seafood, which is forever getting more and more expensive, and it's perishable. So for sure, definitely had its difficulties. We definitely had ups and downs. Fought against just. Plus I never really did it before. Right. I think about like me in 2008 to now. Like I knew nothing back then. In hindsight, nothing at all. Like I was a really good server. I knew how to make people happy as a server. If I worked the door of a restaurant, like as a host, dare I call myself a manager? That's why I say host. But I didn't know about running a staff and managing 15 to 30 different personalities, which is like the most difficult thing. So that was 2007, late 2007 we opened. So we opened 2008, 2009. Those years were okay. I think late 2009, I interviewed. We were looking for a chef. We had less than to go. It wasn't working out. Interviewed a chef. We took him on, and we discovered that this guy was incredibly talented. So the food went from like, oh, it's pretty good. People walk in, and he'd be doing these beautiful seared scallops over a perfectly done risotto, just, with roasted asparagus and, roasted pepper coulis for the sauce, and like beautiful dishes.
Right.
And sold at a very affordable price because we were trying to like bring back business.
Of course.
But the food was amazing for like 18, I think he was here for like 18 months, maybe like 21, little under 2 years. So that really boosted the popularity of the place. He ended up moving on because he got a great union job offer at the Morgan Library in the city. Hired someone new. He was pretty decent, pretty good. So in April of 2012, Bill Keating, who was not my partner at the time, he bought out his partner, Johnny Kazarowski.
Okay.
And I guess Bill saw me as kind of like a long-term investment,
okay,
per se. He trusted me. He knew me long enough where he felt confident that he could trust me as not just an employee, but he offered me partnership. So April 2012, sweet. Wow, partners in a restaurant. It's doing pretty well, It was still tough because of what type of restaurant it was. Seafood in the kitchen and sushi bar in front. All expensive ingredients.
Of course.
Super perishable. So it was always a tough business. And then go to all of October 2012, Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
So I guess I think the watermark is, let's see, I can tell by the brick. Watermark was about here.
Okay.
So Hurricane Irene was the year before, and anyone who lived in Rockaway or neighboring areas, or even not necessarily super close areas, Irene was like, they thought Irene was going to be terrible.
Right.
People evacuated, everyone boarded up their house, and then it ended up being close to nothing except for I think a few small areas of local towns. So Hurricane Sandy, we're like, all right. I was here the night before working. People were like, we're going to close early. I'm like, there's nothing going on outside. We ended up closing at like 7:30, which we could probably stay open until 10, but not, God forbid. It's not,
of course,
not worth risking anything bad happening, or like if someone had to get home to board up their house. I'm not a greedy person.
Right.
I'm not going to stay open for an extra 2.5 hours. That 2.5 hours, like, all right, let's get out of here. Good luck. Everyone touch base tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to pass over. Everyone's like, sure it's going to pass over nothing. Yeah. So everyone had Irene in their head, like, it's going to be a piece of cake. Meanwhile, I go to the beach at like the night before, and I had a co-op on the first floor in a building on the beach. And me and my friend were sandbagging the windows, and we're like looking at the waves at that night. I'm like, I hope this is the maximum of it, because if this is growing, it's going to be a problem. So we all know what happened then.
Right.
Like I said, water up to here. So first thing, I stayed home by myself. Water subsides. Now everyone's walking the streets. Everyone's trying to call their friends, even though no one's cell phone for the most part works. So like, all right, stop by this friend's house, stop by that friend's house. And I lived on 125th at the time. So this being 129th, I was just 4 or 5 blocks away. So I walk over here. Bill just got here too. And we look at each other like, holy shit. Doors busted open, bars up front. We're looking at the kegerator, which is like, we had a 5K kegerator. It's like flipped up. There's all this garbage propped underneath it. There's literally beer spewing out of 3 of the kegs right straight up into the air. Chairs are all over the place. We could tell where the water line was just from like the water became dirty because it's all street stuff. So you saw the water line even though the water's gone, which means every single piece of equipment is garbage. You submerge any refrigerator in water.
Sewage water.
That's it. And sewage water pretty much. Oil, garbage, dirt. no shot. We have one survivor. We have one TV on the wall still. It wouldn't turn on the other day, and I was like, oh no, the last survivor from Sandy, we got to turn on. We should probably buy a new TV anyway, because it's not the best, but I can't let it go.
Yeah. Means too much, I'm sure.
Yeah, a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also me at the time, like at that time in my life, I don't know if I just didn't got in shock, but I didn't comprehend the damage that was done and what it would take to reopen.
Right.
I'm like, all right, this is terrible. We'll find some money. We have insurance, right? We're going to get some money back. Get new equipment, open up, town will get cleared out. But that was like my first day, and I don't think any of us were thinking really very rational or very...
I think everybody was in kind of shock.
Not thinking with much intelligence. You go into the kitchen, big, heavy pieces of equipment were flipped over just from the water. House on the beach on, I forget what block. They had a Porsche parked on the first floor. The house right on the beach. And it literally got lifted up and it ended up on the second floor. Which is, to me, that's always the story that I tell. I'm like, that is like insane.
Yeah.
Mother Nature is a crazy thing.
Scary.
So we're walking around the restaurant like, oh man. So then, the terrible part of the hurricane, we're on 129th, and right behind us, 130th Street, a total of at least 14 houses burned to the ground.
Right.
So the roof in the back room, we caught a little fire, so we had a big hole in the roof from the fire. No flood insurance, by the way, which I'm like, I didn't really know. I knew how to run the restaurant. I didn't know about flood insurance and workers' comp and all those the paperwork type stuff, behind the scenes stuff. I knew nothing about that. I'm like, Bill, we didn't have flood insurance. Don't you have to? Well, you don't have to. You don't really expect something like this to happen, or we're not on the beach, so it's kind of like, it's like, do you pay it? Nothing like this would have, who would have ever thought that would happen?
Of course, that was insane.
So we had the fire. Thank goodness we had the fire. If you wonder why, it's because at least we got some money from the fire.
Right.
Maybe it ended up being, we had smoke damage, so we got a little extra smoke damage to the restaurant.
Okay.
Okay, we got this. So for the next, that was October. So now it's like everyone's taking care of their homes and their friends' homes. So we're talking about what to do, cleaning out the place. Sanitation's killing it, doing a great job, collecting all the garbage. And we're just trying to think of what the hell's the next step? We're going to reopen. We have a lease. What's the town going to be like? Are people going to leave? Is this going to happen again? So I'm like, sick. I just became a partner in a restaurant in April, and I was 32 at the time. Finally, 32, not a bad age, pretty solid age to get involved, to become a partner.
Yeah, right.
Not too young, but not it took me till I was 45.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell do I do now? I had some money invested in the place, not $1 million, but so me and Billy, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you think we would do? And all our minds were all over the place. He owns a home. I owned a co-op it was on the first floor.
Right.
The sandbags didn't work.
Yeah.
I
didn't think so.
There was actually sand about 4.5 feet high filled the apartment.
You gotta be kidding.
So,
that's insane. That is
I
insane.
really wish I took pictures of that. Anyway, irrelevant. Not that important. Maybe I don't wish I took pictures of it.
Yeah. Not
So
something
I'm
you want
all
to
right,
remember.
well, and I had a tenant in there because I kind of outgrew it. So I was living somewhere else. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't have a tenant. Now I can't pay that mortgage. The co-op that I lived in, that I had just purchased as well, I'm like, can't live in that now, so I can't pay that mortgage. So I have 2 mortgages to pay. One I can't pay for a long time because that apartment on the first floor is never going to be fixed. Mm-hmm. My tenant is definitely leaving. There's no way he's going to live there. No one else probably going to live there because everyone's still going to think it's going to happen again.
Right.
I'm probably thinking I don't know, is this going to be a new thing? So all our minds are all over the place, which obviously makes decision making that much tougher.
Right.
So winter passes, we take care. We're like, listen, we can't do anything with this place yet. We don't have money. we don't know what we're going to do anyway. So me and Bill went back and forth. We had a lease for like another 7 years at the time. So the options were either A, just walk away, figure out something work something out with the landlord to walk away from the lease because of what happened. There was B, we were being approached by people that wanted to take the space where maybe they could have bought us out of the lease, even though it wasn't very valuable to us. But if they wanted this specific spot, which is a unique spot for this neighborhood, it's a great, beautiful little commercial block, kind of in the center of town. So it was desirable. So like we could sell the lease, and then there was or do we just find some money, borrow some money, and open up? So actually before the hurricane, as we were battling like the cost of seafood, even when people were loving Rockaway seafood, at the end of the week there was like no money left. It was like, okay, we're breaking even. We were basically like owning a restaurant to have a salary, which is not the plan.
It's not ideal.
If I wanted to just have a salary, I'm going to go work somewhere, and then when I go home, I'm not going to think about it. It's not, I still care and I stress about it a little bit, but not like the stress of like having to pay your rent and this and that. So we went to, so we started toying around with Mexican. We thought about going Mexican before the hurricane.
Okay.
Almost forgot about that. So we were doing, which just sounds so cheesy, we were doing like Mexican Mondays, just to kind of like, little tests, And, we would do quesadillas, we would do tacos, not like 20 items. It wouldn't be a completely different menu, but just on the special sheet to see how it was perceived by people. People were into it. So we started talking about pre-hurricane, about completely changing around and going Mexican.
Right.
And we're like, we think this might be able to work. The food cost is better. It's easier to put out. The kitchen staff is probably easier to find for the level of skill you needed.
Was there anything around here that was actually Mexican food or good Mexican food?
At the time, there was Rockaway Taco, which was a little taco shop on 96th Street, which was awesome. And I mean, I don't know if you remember it, but
I don't.
It was I guess that they started in 2010. So it was right on 96th Street, I guess, between Shorefront Parkway and Rockaway Beach Boulevard.
Okay.
9 by like 20 feet deep.
Okay.
They would have a line for 45 minutes all day long. The tacos were awesome, and then they would do these like cool like, agua frescas, and it just became like this cool place to go, and it was getting written up in the Times and the Village Voice and whatever other like cool like small New York magazine or giant New York magazine like the Times, and it created this like spark towards Rockaway, which is crazy as it sounds. I've said this to a lot of people. I think Rockaway Taco is what really sparked this town.
Yeah.
I swear, like, it sounded a little taco shop, amongst other things, but like, Rockaway was getting written up all the time. Then it was like, Rockaway Beach, Rockaway Taco. Everyone from Brooklyn was coming down. And so they were doing tacos at the time. We were obviously much different. We were a sit-down restaurant, so we didn't think it was like, stepping on anyone's toes or a conflict of interest or, it wasn't like we were just like copying them.
But there was a demand for.
They had four tacos on the menu, a quesadilla, and a couple like cool juices.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a restaurant. It wasn't a sit-down restaurant.
Simple.
Me and Bill were like, you know what? We were afraid of the remodel and everything. Guess what? We got water up to here. Everything's garbage. We have a clean slate. So if we're going to reopen as anything,
let's do it now.
Now's the time to do it. So I started doing the research, looking up just like, had a list of like 50 Mexican restaurants in New York. I should say 50 Mexican eateries, because we wanted to hit every type of place, from like the hole in the wall, like in like Corona, Queens, where it's like, you know,
Zingo and all
like
those places.
like grandma cooking,
Right.
who's been cooking great authentic Mexican food for like 50 years, and we went to Rosa Mexicana, which is like Union Square, high-end, hoity-toity, fancy Mexican restaurant where like an appetizer is like $25.
Right.
And, places like Mole, which I think is closed, like, you know, medium size, casual, but good solid food, good cocktails. So, and it's still at the time we were still like, yeah, Mexican, but then the next day we're like, do we really want to do this? Yeah, Mexican. I don't know if we want to do this. Are you sure?
Yeah.
So we made a plan and we put 4 restaurants on the list for the first night of me and Bill going out to eat. Joel wasn't around at the time yet. He wasn't even in, like, I guess kind of in the thoughts to come back because he's super talented. He was in a good job at the time, so we didn't expect him to leave.
Right.
So I think the first Mexican restaurant we went to in Manhattan was Mole. So we went there, we're like, all right, margarita, enchilada, guac and chips. All right, cool. Drink, quick appetizer, check the place out, see what's going on, see what the tequila list was like. On to the next. The next was Rosa Mexicana. So me and Bill are walking over to Rosa Mexicana, and we're talking, and we're like, do we really want to do this? And I guess like just like getting slightly closer, we're like, screw this. Let's just talk to blank. I don't want to name the person because they're neighborhood person, good person,
Okay.
but let's talk to them. They really want to buy us out of the lease. I'm like, let's just do that. Walk away. We'll both figure out something. Yeah. Over the next week or so, we're like, let's do the Mexican. So we ended up going like 20, I think it was a total of 27 Mexican spots over the next like month or so. We contacted Joel, asked him if he was involved. He couldn't leave his other job because it was too good. You know, union job as a chef is pretty uncommon.
Right.
But he was down to do the menu, so we were going to just pay him to do, consult. His wife Julia is a professional restaurant designer and home designer. Does amazing work. She works for big time chefs like David. She's done like restaurants with David Burke. She gets flown to Florida, Cali, Vegas.
Awesome.
I mean, Joel do the menu. I know he can train people. Julie was interested in designing it. She said she'd take care of us with, the friends and family discount.
Right.
And there went that, Once like April hit, started to warm up, cleaning out the place, talking menu, talking design, applying for more permits, seeing what kind of help we could get from the city based on the hurricane. And we're like, we're gonna be open in June. Then we're like, all right, it's looking like July. Then I'm like, it's looking like September. So finally, in October 17th of 2013, we reopened as Pico. 50 weeks after the hurricane. Sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So we opened up. We had 50 people at the door. They piled in. Everyone waited a really long time for food. It was a new system.
Yeah.
It was the first night that anyone did anything in this restaurant, from the computer to the cooks to timing stuff.
Madness.
It was madness. It wasn't great, but people understood, and they were waiting for us to open.
Right.
And never ever would a restaurant have 50 people in line at a door. Well, for the most part. And if you do, you see one table and say, okay, give us 5 minutes. We didn't do that. We started off like that, and every day got better, and every day everyone learned a little more. And, of course, we had our predictions, our hopes, what we'd do the first year, and I think we pretty much close to double that in the first year, which was amazing, and it felt great, and the community was happy, and everyone's like, "You're reopening as Mexican?" Yes.
Yeah.
I think the older generation, I guess older meaning saying like Rockaway Seafood Company had a lot of like 55 to like 75-year-olds like, come in, can I have the seared salmon with just the steamed vegetable? Can I just get my steamed vegetable? I was like, fine, whatever, that's cool. That older generation was like, oh, Mexican, okay, good luck. I probably won't see you in there. But they think everything's like burning hot spicy.
Right.
People think like, Mexican, like cheap ingredients, like some, low grade, like ground beef taco.
Right.
But our goal here is like, the goal is like, all right, it's street food, it's messy, it's tacos, it's burritos, pouring hot sauce all over it, rice and beans. It's not some delicate cuisine, but you can do anything good.
Right.
You can do anything great, really.
For sure.
Because it all starts with the ingredients. And, when we're talking with Joel, it's like, okay, we're going to do Mexican, but it's going to be, we're going to get organic chickens. We'll have a burger on the menu for someone who just wants something, someone who doesn't want to eat a burrito.
Right. We
had a Creekstone Farm burgers on the menu. We were smoking brisket for 10 hours, smoking the whole chickens for 3 hours. So pull all that nice chicken meat, and it's super juicy. Sure. Smoking pork shoulders for 8 to 10 hours. Actually, 6 months in, we started doing what she thought most popular, and the one item on the menu that I can eat all the time, even though I'm here all the time. Joel's like, hey, he's like, I did this pastrami taco special once at this place, and I'm like, pastrami taco, and like your first thoughts are like pastrami and cheese and coleslaw on a taco, but then it's like, wait, on a tortilla, but why not? What's the difference whether putting it on a tortilla or putting it on bread?
Right.
And to this day, the pastrami taco is the most desirable thing.
Really?
And over time, Grandma and Grandpa, who said, "Hey, I'm not going to see you in there," came with their daughters or their grandkids. We had so many of those customers coming back in, which was good to see, not just for the business sense, but for the fact that these,
yeah, for sure,
they're embracing it, love it, it's great.
Was it like the moment you guys opened? Was that do you have like a defining moment of success for yourself? Something that kind of was just like you were taking.
That first night was a given. We knew people were going to be lined up at the door. The restaurant could have been terrible. It could have been the worst restaurant in the city of New York. There still would have been a line.
Right.
It doesn't matter how busy you are that first night. It matters that things end up being good, so people come back. Which even when we first reopened, we're like, well, because now we're like, oh my God, we have to recoup all this money. We have to pay this person back, pay that person back, this many months back rent, da da da. So my partner Bill, sorry to throw you on the bus, Bill. He's like, no, we have to do takeout and delivery.
Right.
And at the time, we had a little back party room planned. Party room / if we needed extra seating for guests and there was no party, I was like, we're not seating in the back room. We're only seating in the regular part of the restaurant. We're not doing takeout. We're not doing delivery. First impressions are everything. First couple of weeks, people are like, oh, they're just back from the hurricane. Yeah, give them some time. But if you try and take on too much,
right,
it doesn't matter how much money's in the register for that first month. We could have done twice as much sales if we did takeout delivery in the back room, but everyone would have hated the place because everyone got horrendous service. It's like you do it in small bits.
Right.
You started out. We didn't do takeout for the first 6 months. We didn't do delivery for a year. So if you can't give good service, you don't try and take on more.
Yeah, right, of course.
If it's a Monday in the winter and you're usually pretty slow, and we have 2 servers on, usually 2 servers is plenty. If it's some random night and a table of 10 walks in and another table of 8 walks in, and then people are piling in for some random reason, just coincidence, everyone decided to come here, we could have 5 empty tables in the back. Oh, you too? Okay. Just grab a drink at the bar, give us 5-10 minutes. We all set to get you sat. Sometimes they're like, well, what about those empty tables? You have to be honest. Honestly, we're way busier than expected. For some strange reason, it's mobbed in here on a Monday in December or January or whatever. If you'll get quicker service with the drink at the bar right now, and then as soon as the servers catch up, you can't take on too much.
Of course not.
Service is everything.
Yeah.
Order of importance of the restaurant: service, food, decor. Everyone thinks food. You assume food because that's what you go to a restaurant for, but It's all about the service.
As of now, is there sort of like a competition with more restaurants opening up around here?
Competition. I definitely wouldn't call it a competition. I mean, I live in Rockaway Beach, and I love to eat and drink. It's my favorite thing to do. So I want more restaurants.
Right.
You know what? I mean, there's a spot that's going to open across the street from us. Will there be days that a Rockaway resident or whomever is going to go there, where if that didn't exist, they would have came here? Of course.
Right.
It's okay. There's plenty to go around.
Right.
I want this town to thrive. More and more people moving here. More and more people are visiting here.
Of course.
People Airbnb here in December, January, February at my friend's house just to come down to Rockaway Beach, even though it's not the summer. This town is
That's crazy.
This town is blowing up. It's beautiful. I think there's plenty to go around. Yeah, is there a tipping point where I was like, okay, if 5 Mexican restaurants open, yeah, that would be terrible.
Right.
I don't want that to happen. I want diversity. I want an Indian restaurant to open.
Right.
I want like a real, like an authentic Chinese food place to open. You know, I want a Korean barbecue place. Like
That'd be nice.
hell yeah, Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue and Indian. Competition. I'd say a friendly competition. Competition's great.
Yeah.
You know, listen. I talk about this to a lot of people because people are like, oh, what do you think about all the new restaurants? And everyone's always trying to get my opinion on a new restaurant. And sometimes a new restaurant opens and it kind of sucks. Sometimes a new restaurant opens and it's awesome.
Right.
Never going to tell a customer that I think this restaurant sucks.
Of course.
If it sucks,
Of course.
they're looking for me to say something bad. They're trying to get me to like I'm like some famous person, and they're trying to get me to like I'm like a politician. They're trying to get me trash another politician.
Right.
No, I've been there. It's pretty good. It's good. So the competition is great. If you're a fast runner and you're racing against someone that's really slow, are you going to run your fastest? Probably not.
Right.
If you're racing against someone that you know is usually quicker than you or equal, you're going to give your all. So it makes everyone step it up.
Right.
It's good. It's great for every restaurant. I mean, it's bad for some that can't keep up.
Of course.
And I don't want to see anyone do bad or fail, but on the whole, it's wonderful. I see it. I see restaurants that have been here that have improved a lot, Probably a combination of things. Probably maybe they just got better. Maybe hey, you know what? Maybe they hired the right manager or found someone perfect for the kitchen. But I think a bunch of it's to do with the fact that, you have people coming in here. You got the concessions in the summer. They're just small little concessions, but a lot of those concessions are spin-offs from successful restaurants that are in Brooklyn.
Right.
And this, male or female owner of that restaurant's in Brooklyn is oh man, Rockaway Beach is awesome. I love going in the summer. We should do a concession there. And now we got more place to eat. I live on 101st Street. I can walk 4 blocks that way and get a breakfast sandwich at Brothers. Or I can walk 4 blocks that way and get an arepa or 2 at Caracas for lunch. Competition is wonderful. Yeah. It makes everyone better.
What do you think has changed the most in the last 5 years?
Last 5 years in this town in general,
in the industry for you that you have to.
Well, it's getting more and more difficult. Let's say more regulations. The city's always getting. The city's been difficult for a long time.
Right.
Labor cost is way up. Everyone needs to get paid. I'm a firm believer of that.
Right.
I think if you interviewed the last 100 servers and bartenders that have worked for me, I'd like to think, would say that I really do. If you ask them the question, does Chris care if you walk with a lot of tips at the end of the night, if you make a lot of money? Or, does Chris get out there and, do whatever it takes to help you? Or, I've been there, I've done that. I've worked with managers that don't lift a pinky to help you and could care less even if you're getting your ass kicked.
Right.
And have 8 tables where that's way too many tables for one person to have, and they're sitting there watching practically. It's just not right. It's not good for anyone.
Of course not.
It's not good for the server. It's not It's not good for service for the people.
Right.
It's not good for the service tips, obviously. It's not good for morale for your servers, and negativity spreads like wildfire. So it's just no good. I mean, I have someone in the kitchen that's been here. I didn't own in 2007, but I was a manager. I have someone in the kitchen who's been here for 12 years. I have people in the kitchen who have been here 8 years. I have someone in the kitchen who's been here for 8 years. Half my kitchen staff now has been here since we reopened Pico. I have a server who's been here. My manager, Tim, he's pretty much been here since like 2010. So for 9 years. Laura, who's serving right now, she's been here since 2007.
Stick around if you're happy.
And having consistent staff and no turnover and people who know what they're doing, and not having to pay to train new people. Then you have new people that don't quite know what they're doing yet, and it's going to take a while. I mean, I have my guy Keon behind the bar. He was the first new hire that I did for the front of the house for Pico. He's wonderful. I mean, I can probably think of 7 people who have told me in the last 2 years that he is the best bartender, quote unquote, like, not like he's a great bartender, like, he's the best bartender I've ever had. His awesome. Personality is just, it's like, you couldn't have a better personality behind the bar. He's the realest person, and he's just a good dude, and he hustles his ass off. So making having employees happy is super important. Back to the difficult things. Labor costs through the roof. I guess hesitant to talk about this because I don't want to come off negatively. It's just there's 2 minimum wages. There's standard minimum wage if you work at a deli, or if you work in Macy's, jobs like that. Then there's something called tip minimum wage.
Right.
But if you work on tips, the minimum wage is lower, and as long as you're making enough tips per hour to bring it up to 15, then you can legally pay them that lower minimum wage. Right now, that's like $10 an hour, which our servers and bartenders do well. They definitely make $5 an hour in tips to cover that $5 gap. Maybe a little more than that.
Good for them.
That's been going up like $1.50 a year about. So since I think 10 years ago it was probably like $2, and this is just a guess. I don't really remember, but it was right around $2.50 an hour. Not probably like 8 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So it's going up like $1.50 a year. So in just 5 years of operating, it's doubled. So when we have,
it's tough.
We got 400 hours a week in the front of the house being paid out. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough.
Yeah, it adds up.
It's doubled in 5 years.
That's crazy.
So
it's a hard adjustment.
That's a tricky thing. I'm sure you're a smart guy. You know about restaurants. You're into it. I'm sure you've read. I'm sure you're somewhat well read, and I'm sure anyone watching or listening to this, excuse me, have heard about restaurants have to adjust and all businesses have to adjust. I mean, computers are taking jobs left and right.
Yeah.
Big companies are ruining small companies that's left and right.
Yeah.
What? I order from Amazon all the time. It's hard not to.
Of course.
If I can go to if I need I don't know, masking tape so the kitchen can date everything and the bar can date everything. And I'll run off the block and get it. If I know they're closed on a Monday and I need it on a Monday, I hit send on Prime, you know. Computers taking jobs left and right. There's some industries that it works for, and there's a lot that it doesn't. But one thing that it's making a big turn is the restaurant industry, going into more and more restaurants that either have the iPad on the table, which is more, I think, right now. That's really tacky and really impersonal. That's more like an airport thing.
Okay.
We've seen that for a little while now. Talking about beer, like Pico Brewery, which is in the building which City Field is located. You know, you go in from the outside.
Awesome addition.
I went there last year, and we were looking at new computer systems for here because we weren't really happy with ours. Nicola, if you go in, either A, you can, walk up, actually get online to grab a beer at the bar.
Right, yes.
Or if you sit at a table, grab the menu, and your table number is right there. It says your table number, I guess. I forget. It was like almost like attached to the wall. It's like, oh, table 24. So you look at the menu, it says, just, and go on. I think it was like, whatever, Mickler.com /Bbot. Bbot's the app.
Okay. And
you just go on your phone, and they have Wi-Fi in there, of course, and everyone has a smartphone in 2019, pretty much.
Yeah.
And right there is your menu. It's a small version of the menu, but on the menu.
Right.
All right, I'll take a Finback Orange Crush, 13 ounce, and I'll take a other half Citra Daydream, 13 ounce. And then it goes right to the bar, and they have a food and drink runner. Minutes later, it's there.
No way.
So it's actually quicker than having a server.
Right.
A lot of times, I kind of feel guilty saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of places are taking that route.
Pay right on your card and everything.
It's very impersonal, so it sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, service is, like I said, service is the most important thing in the menu. Obviously, the food and drink is very important too. But tableside service is nice to an extent. At least some more extra human contact.
Right.
Contact. But it's getting to the point where there's going to be a tipping point where it's like, all right, we can't. It's like any business. We can't afford to pay all these people. Cuomo wanted to make the server tip minimum wage. I think it was $8.65 in 2018. It went up to $10 this year. He was petitioning, or whatever you want to say, to make it from $8.65. And on January 1st of 2019, he wanted it to be $15 an hour, like regular minimum wage. Because they do their research, and the average server, when it's, I'm just kind of estimating figures. In 2017, when tip minimum wage was $7.50 an hour, average server in New York. They say New York, meaning New York State.
Right, New York State.
Not New York City,
right.
Where obviously the cost of living is way higher.
Yeah.
But obviously menu prices are way higher, which means tips are way higher, and people have a lot more money. And it's like, average is, $7.50 plus with their tips, they average $12 an hour. Again, don't quote me on that, but I'm definitely not too far off from the number that they were saying. I'm like, that's bullshit.
Right.
I don't know what town in New York they're taking numbers from or where they're getting their numbers from, but there's no way.
Right.
I want my service to make a ton of money. I see what they make. When we have a crazy night, I see all the numbers. I have to report their taxes.
Of course.
Report everything. Everything on my credit card. This isn't 25 years ago in a restaurant where it's like cash. Last night, we had 4 servers on. 3 of them, their credit card tips eclipsed all their cash sales. So they were actually owed money. And we pay out that night. Some restaurants do it in a check at the end of the week. But that was like, wow. never at night have I think even more than one server had that happen where the credit card, like they were actually owed money from the house.
Right. From their tips.
Where usually the cash and every year is changing significantly. Yeah. So that being said, Cuomo wanted to make it 15. And if he would have been successful in making it 15,
crush businesses.
Either you adjust or you sink,
Yeah.
It went up to 10. Big hit, 400 hours a week here.
Yeah.
400 times $1.50, $600. 52 times 600, it's $31,200 a year. Clear net dollars. It's not a ton of money in this business anymore.
No.
And I'm certainly not complaining. I'm very happy with this business. We do great. It's a beautiful place. I have fun. I love my people. I love the staff. I love the customers. If it would have been $15 an hour, we would have had no choice but to change our computer system and do something like that be bought out.
Right.
So that's the biggest challenge I think in restaurants in New York City right now. Not even I think, I know. More of a challenge in the buildings department or the health department or any permit or the increase in electric or national grid and gas increases and blah 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 blah. Finding good help is tough. But when you find them, you like to keep them. And a computer on the table sucks.
Yes, sure does.
It sucks.
So, if somebody was trying to open their own restaurant, what would you recommend to them?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Advice I'd give to someone who's looking to open a restaurant, I'd warn them that it's really tough. Mm-hmm. And when I say I would, I've definitely talked to a bunch of people about this before because people ask me. Yeah. I got a couple of kids working for me right now. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I don't know. I get it. I know growing up, 80% of my friends went to college, graduated in 4 or 5 years. Never used that degree. Mm-hmm. Became fireman. Amazing job. Became sanitation. Working, started bartending or whatever. I'd say it's really tough. You got to prepare for, a lot of hours. And there's no labor laws for how many hours you work as an owner. You don't get paid double time on holidays when you're the owner. You don't get paid time and a half for those extra 10 hours if you did 50 hours in a week. It's increasingly difficult. I think it's becoming more and more difficult, and there's more and more adjustments to make. And then I also say, what? I say that, and sometimes I complain. I'm like, oh man, this is so exhausting. I love it. It's a love-hate relationship.
Right.
But then I look at them, I'm like, what the hell is easy? Especially in this city of New York, So there's a girl that was working at a store on the block, and she was talking about going to CIA for pastry. She's like, oh, I want to be a pastry chef. And I'm like, okay, I was down with her. I was like, the restaurant business stuff, right? That kitchen life is a really tough job. He's like, yeah, but I love baking, and I worked in the bakery before, and I really want to do it. I'm like, okay. And she's a sweetheart, and she's very, very friendly. I would never discourage anyone from their dreams. But I've been doing this a while, and I'm like, just know, I know about how much CIA costs. My friend's sister went to culinary school for pastry, very talented. She got an internship or job at Gramercy Tavern, one of the best restaurants in the city, one of the best restaurants in the country. And she's not there anymore, but she was getting worked there. Mm-hmm. With nothing wrong with working hard, but it was like high. Those restaurants don't become what they are from babying employees or letting them to the side. You get worked and you are making minimum wage. Right. And they say there's no overtime, and you have 8.5 hours in a day, and your 30-minute break. and you have to get this done. And if you can't get that done, you can't work here anymore.
Yeah.
So the pressure's on. But it's what you make of it. Maybe she'll start her own bakery and kill it one day,
Right, for sure.
But, you just got to be honest with people.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Maybe it's best to start off in one of those high tension
But the girl ended up
situations.
she ended up not going to pastry school. I was just like, hey, you want to have kids and a family, I think maybe you should work in a bakery, experience a little bit more before you spend $100,000 on a year and a half of school.
Make sure.
So I think it might be something like that, like close to $100,000 for like a year and a half, 2-year program.
Phenomenal.
You want to talk about a loan? Sure. I mean, listen, you go to college for 4 years and spend $200,000. I don't know. I have friends that went to law school and their loan is like a mortgage payment. So, again, what the hell is easy?
Right. And did you happen to have a story for us?
I mean, we've had customers like, I remember Laura, who's actually working here right now. She's been working for me since 2007 when we opened Rockaway Seafood. I've been friends with her for like 20 plus years. I remember customers were so obnoxious. And like we had a seafood pasta dish at Rockaway Seafood. And the guy's like, everything's cold, the clams are cold. She's like, I'm really sorry. I was like, she's like, feel the clam. She's like, eat the clam. And she's like, I'm not eating the clam. She's like, she definitely said, like, I'm not eating clam. She's like, no, it's fine. Please let me bring it back. Well, I apologize. I'll have chef. It'll be the first thing that goes on the stove. Like we're instructed to do from those days to now. If something's wrong with food, it's always bound to happen, especially in a busy restaurant. It's going to happen in any restaurant. I've gotten a giant bone in a 2 Michelin star restaurant I pulled out of my mouth. I'm like, whoa. I pulled a metal S-hook that holds together the vegetable crates in the 1 Michelin star restaurant I pulled out of my mouth like 10 years ago. I was like, whoa, stuff's going to happen.
It happens.
No one's perfect.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, you're not just going to try the clam? You don't trust me? She's like, no, I do trust you. She's like, I would love to, I could take it back. Or if you want me to leave it, I'll just have him cook you a dish. If there's anything that you do want to eat on it, we're only going to charge you for one. And he starts he takes the clam and he's like putting it on her arm and he's like hitting her arm with it. And he opened it up and he's like trying to, I don't know what he wanted to do. He wanted to put the clam part on her elbow. I don't know, weird things happen. People are crazy.
Sick people out there, Chris.
Like taking like I said, 5 times already, taking care of people in this business is amazing. It's so enjoyable. But there's always going to be jerks.
Yeah.
There's people that come out to have a good time. There's people that come out because they're married and they have to come out. There's families that do the same. There's people that are tons of fun and come out to have eat and drink for people's birthday and they're awesome and they're like, this is great, music's cranking. They go to the bar after.
Right.
There's people that come out just to bust chops.
Yeah, just to be miserable.
This misery loves company is one of the truest statements. And there's people that come out and they're like, they walk in the door and you're like, oh man, Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson are here. And it's like, Gina hasn't been working that long. Gina, just so you know, they're going to bust your chops. They're not nice. It's just them.
Right.
And
just suck it up.
And if it's a customer that I don't know, it's kind of a new customer that's being a jerk or really obnoxious, because some people will be so obnoxious to service. I'm like, I'm not having that. Customer's always right. But if someone's being straight up disrespectful to one of my employees, who I consider them all they're friends or like family, this is, we're a team here, I may own the place, but it doesn't matter. We all work together, And I was like, let me know who they are, and I love going over to talk to them.
Right.
Because I like to think I'm really good at killing people with kindness. Mm-hmm. And I think I can do it to the point where I'll make a mean, nasty person feel so uncomfortable because I'm being so nice to them.
Right.
Even though they're trying to be so mean that they get so uncomfortable and they don't even know what to do or say. And that's fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much, Bill. Hey guys, that was the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you were able to take something away from that interview, as you will with every interview. Special thanks again goes to Chris Miles from Pico in Rockaway, New York. After a long day of lounging on the beach or surfing the waves out in the Rockaways, definitely swing by this amazing Mexican spot with a great craft beer selection. Every other Sunday I'll be posting a new podcast, so stay tuned and, like I said, subscribe and never miss another episode. Also, don't forget those questions. If it's something you're curious about knowing, then I want to ask it. And while you're on the IG page, make sure to give us a follow. Once again, I'm Mike Curtin for True Brewer Stew. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.